Hello, welcome back to my little workshop. I'm still trying to get everything back together for repairing CB radios like I used to do in the 80s. And one of the things that I used to have in the 80s was a Sinad meter. Now if you've watched other people's videos you will have seen a lot of information about them. I didn't really use it a lot in the 80s. I don't know, I didn't have much of a signal generator anyway. I had a government surplus Marconi which was extremely heavy, and I don't know, I just never got around to using the Sinad because I was working on an assembly line making radio equipment, and my job was to test and align it, and we never used Sinad meters. We just had an AC voltmeter on the across the loudspeaker. Anyway, I did have a Sinad meter, Sinad 3 I think it was, and I've been trying to get another one. They're as rare as hen's teeth, of course. So looking around on good old eBay, I've got this little gadget which I'm going to talk about. It's very nice condition, beautiful. I've got it in pieces at the moment, as I'll explain as we're going along. Got the lid off it, little feet off it and everything to get down to it. But when it came, I got it from the USA, and there was a little label on the back. Now this is a mystery, I can't really understand this, but there was this label on the back which I've taken off, and it said 117 volts 60 hertz, which of course presented me with a problem right away. I thought, oh dear, what do we do now? External transformer, probably. But although it says 117 volts on this label on the back of it, it was actually powered by this power brick. And this power brick, it says on the front WC12C battery charger. So it's a battery charger, not a regulated power supply. And on the back, DC output 12 volts at 75 milliamps. So again, I thought, fair enough, 12 volts. So it had a very strange connector, a miniature microphone connector. Very strange. But I thought, well, this is going to be fairly straightforward. Take this away, do away with it, and get one of these Chinese 12 volt little plug things that you can get everywhere these days on eBay. Well, it's not turning out to be quite that straightforward. Life never is. I got a 110 volt main transformer to drop the UK voltage down to 110, so I could test it and see what was going on. Plugged it all in, put a test meter on this with no load, with the meter turned off, and it was putting out 19 volts. So although it says 12 volts on it, 12 volts at 75 milliamps, perhaps that's misleading. Maybe it's only 12 volts if you're drawing 75 milliamps, but certainly with no load it was putting out 19 volts. Anyway, pressing on with this device, I put the my test meter down here where it says 12 volts on the printed circuit board. As you see, it's in lovely condition. Connected the test meter here, switched on, and it dropped down to 8 volts. So we've got a power pack that's putting out 19 volts into this board. Switch the board on, you're getting 8 volts. Another mystery. Tracing this red wire here, which goes to the connector on the back, there's a resistor inside this little rubber sleeve. Not sure the value yet, I'll investigate one day. So they're actually dropping the 19 volts supply down to 8 volts for the board by means of a resistor, which it seems an odd way of doing it. Possibly because you couldn't do it with a regulator, maybe it's too much voltage, I don't know. But this is tracing it, it's more or less an identical circuit to the helper instrument Sinad 3. Checked it out, it's got 3 ICs, which are all in holders, which is really convenient and handy, so that's nice. The potentiometers for doing the adjustments there are multi-turn, so it's a nice little unit. But as you can see, the board is very sparsely populated. It's like a stripped down version of the Helper Instruments Sinad 3, because on the Helper one you've got a built-in loudspeaker and you've got a built-in 1 kHz oscillator. Now, none of that is on the board. I suppose I could put them on the board if I wanted, but you know, it gives me the important thing, the Sinad part, which is all I wanted. I didn't want the 1 kHz oscillator, I never used that anyway. And I can't say that I needed the loudspeaker, because you've got, you know, sound coming out the speaker on the radio you're working on. But that is it. It's more or less identical in every way. The front panel is similar. You've got the off, then the first click gives you the Sinad reading, and then it gives you various voltage readings. Again, exactly the same voltage readings as you get with the Helper Instruments Sinad 3. The connection, which is a little bit unusual in a way, to plug my test lead in, is a 3.5mm jack plug, not a 1/4 inch jack plug. And coming from the States, I would have expected a good old 1/4 inch jack plug, but no, 3.5 mils. So there we are, Regency Land Mobile Inc. Sinad distortion meter. It seems to work absolutely spot on, can't fault it in any way. But that is it. So what I'm going to do now, now I've got a proper 12 volt regulated brick unit. I've changed the connector on the back here to a more usual power connector to do away with their little microphone socket. I've taken the label off that says 117 volts. But slight problem now, because I replaced their 12 volt supply, which I thought was 12 volts, which it said was 12 volts, but it's actually 19 volts. Replaced that with a proper regulated 12 volt supply, and now when I go on the input point down there, I'm getting 5 volts on the board because of this resistor. The next plan then is to take this resistor out completely, do away with that, and since it's the same circuit as the Helper Instruments Sinad, which actually uses one of these 8 volt regulated thingies, just like a little 3-pin transistor they are, it drops it down to 8 volts at 100 milliamps. I'm going to remove that resistor and put a TN, what is it, 7508 or whatever, I can't remember the number. I'm going to put one of those in the lead and give it a proper regulated 8 volt supply, and then we should be back in business. I'd rather have a proper regulator than hit and miss resistor, because obviously I'd have to change the resistor. Now it's getting 12 volts into it instead of 19. We'd have to change the value of that. So there we are, little Sinad meter, another, well, eBay bargain, although not such a bargain, the price these things are fetching, but it's absolutely mint condition. I don't know how old it is in comparison to the Helper ones, which went out of production 20 years ago. I have no idea, but it's absolutely like mint, and even the little rubber feet on the bottom of it are absolutely, you know, mint condition, whereas these tend to go a bit rotten. Okay, well that's it. I can't really tell you any more about it. I'll tell you about another piece of my test equipment on another video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for putting up with me. Wish me luck. One day I'll actually be able to service a CB radio again.